Welcome back, grade 10. Happy science time. We are now down to our last module, which is module number 7, entitled The Plate Tectonic Theory. Now, in this module, you will learn about the causes of the movements of the different plates, no? Because in the previous lessons, you learned how scientists provided evidences to prove that the plates really are moving. So, nandiyan po yung evidences ni Wegener, pati ni Harry Hayes, na tinatawag po nating continental drift theory and yung seafloor spreading theory, respectively. But in this lesson, bakit nga ba at sa papaanong paraan nagmo-move itong tectonic plates na ito? So yan po ang pag-uusapan natin in this lesson. Now, you learned in the previous lessons that there is a spreading center, or there are spreading centers doon sa ocean natin. It is an area, these are areas where two plates are diverging from each other. So there are two plates that are moving away from each other or naghihiwalay.
Because there's magma that is oozing out in between them. Okay, and that is called that process is what we call the ridge push. Okay, that is what we call the ridge push. You also learned that the oceanic crust is denser and heavier than the continental crust. That is why in this area, where oceanic crust is converging with a continental crust, that's why there's a convergent boundary in that area. The oceanic crust is the one that is subducting or undergoing the process of subduction. Siya yung lumulubog. And as it subducts under the continental crust, which is lighter or mas magaan, nahihila po niya yung iba pang rocks na nandito because of gravity. And that process is known as the slab pull. We call it the slab pull. Kasi yung mga nandito sa baba, habang bumababa siya, okay, yung mga nasa ilalim ng continental crust, habang bumababa siya, nahihila pa po niya yung buong slab na ito ng oceanic crust. That is why it's called slab pull. It's because of the gravity. So that is why these plates are moving or continuously moving because of ridge push and slab pull. Now, the question here is, it wouldn't even happen if magma were not oozing out in this area. So kung hindi lumalabas dyan yung magma, kung walang magma dyan na lumalabas out of the earth, hindi po yan mangyayari. This process of seafloor spreading wouldn't even happen. So the question now is, where does the magma or where does this magma come from? Saan nanggagaling yung magma na lumalabas dyan? The answer is found deep within our Earth, no? Or dun sa loob mismo ng ating Earth. Remember that the Earth has different layers. And after the crust, the next layer is the mantle. So we have the upper mantle and the lower mantle. You learned that the crust or the plates are made up of the crust and the upper part of mantle. At sa ilalim po nun, nandun po yung asthenosphere, which is actually part of the mantle na. So ano bang meron kay mantle at bakit meron ditong chamber of magma? Meron po diyang source of magma. So here's what's happening inside the earth. If we look inside of the earth, you will see how things there are moving. Okay? So the materials here in the mantle, so this is the mantle, this area is the mantle, the materials there are actually moving. Okay? So there's a movement there. And ano po yung gumagalaw dyan? Yun po yung mga materials sa mantle, because mantle is solid, yes, but sa sobrang init or sa sobrang taas ng temperature dyan, they allow movements, no? Para silang nagiging molten rocks na. Okay? So how is that even possible? That is because of what we call the convection curve. Convection. Okay? So, there is a convection happening there. So, ano po ba yung convection? We all know, if you still remember, in your grade 7 class, there are different types of heat transfer. So, ang heat po is an energy that can be transferred from one material to another material. Example, I have here my hand. Okay? Tapos, hinawak ko siya sa yelo. So they have different temperatures. Mas mainit yung hand ko kaysa sa yelo. Pero pag hinawakan ko yung yelo, the heat from my hand is being transferred doon sa yelo, to the ice. That is why yung ice natutunaw at lumalamig yung kamay ko kasi nawala na yung init sa kamay ko, nalipat na sa yelo. That heat transfer between two solids is known as conduction. So we call it conduction. Another heat transfer known as radiation happens when a heat source can still be felt, or yung heat nung heat source na yon can still be felt even if there's nothing in between you. For example, yung heat ng sun, nararamdaman pa rin natin kahit na kilometers ang layo ng sun natin. So that process of heat transfer from the sun to the earth is known as radiation. But the other heat transfer process, which we will be focusing in this lesson, is known as convection. And convection is the heat transfer. Heat transfer. Convection is heat. So this is delta, Greek letter delta. This is used as a symbol for heat. Heat transfer that happens in liquids and gases, no? So, nangyayari po yan sa liquids and gases. Kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, matter is solid, but it makes the materials there act like they're liquids, no? And if they act like liquids, there is a convection happening there. So, paano po ba nangyayari yung convection na yon? So, I would like to share with you a video presentation that was that was prepared and presented by my former students when we experimented on this during the pre-pandemic time. So they experimented and they showed to us, to the class, kung paano ba nangyayari yung convection current sa liquid. So please watch this video from grade 10 Esteban, batch 2019-2020. Okay, so based on that video, you learned that heat is transferred in the liquid. So meron kang heat source yung mainit na tubig na nasa ilalim, no? Okay, yung nasa ilalim nung parang container na may tubig na cold water. So pinainitan po nila yung ilalim, and with the use of coloring food coloring, naglagay po sila doon sa area kung saan mainit, and you saw that this liquid, kapag nahinitan siya, umaangat siya. Pagdating doon sa taas, guys, the temperature becomes lower. Bumababa yung temperature, mas lumalamig. Okay? So the tendency, if a material is cold, it becomes denser and heavier, so it sinks down, lulubog siya. Pagdating doon sa baba, since may mainit na baso doon, iinit na naman siya, so it will go rise again, because the tendency of hot materials is to become lighter, kaya siya tumataas. Same thing here. So the materials here in the core, okay, or the materials of the mantle near the core are very hot, super hot, no? They're super hot that their tendency is to go up in that direction. So aangat sila because they are very hot. Pagdating po dun sa taas, here in this area, their tendency is to become colder dahil mas malamig doon. And when they become colder, they become denser and heavier. That is why they move sideways, here, there, they move sideways, and then they go down, they sink down. And when they get to that point of the mantle na sobrang init uli, yung malapit sa core, they will heat up again, and they will rise again, and the cycle or the process continues. That is convection current. The area kung saan tumataas at naghihiwalay itong mga materials na to para lumamig uli, here in this area, you can see in that area, yan po yung pinakita natin kanina. Ito po siya. That is where you can find the ridge, no? That is where you can find the spreading center. That is where two plates are diverging away from each other. That is one of the major reasons why the Earth's plates are actually moving. It's because of the convection of the materials that is happening in the mantle. So that movement of materials is known as the convection current because it's happening in a liquid-like material. So we call it convection current. Okay? Now that you have learned the causes of the movements of the plates of the Earth, coupled with the pieces of evidence provided by the continental drift theory and the seafloor spreading theory by Alfred Lothar Wegener and Harry Hayes respectively, we now have a unifying theory which we call the plate tectonics theory. Now, the plate tectonics theory explains everything that is happening doon sa geology ng ating Earth. Okay? So ano po ba ang sinasabi ng plate tectonics theory? So number one, it tells us that the Earth's lithosphere, number one, it tells us that the Earth's lithosphere or the Earth's lithosphere is broken into plates. Okay? Ito po yung natutunan natin before sa mga naunang lessons, that the lithosphere or the Earth's crust is broken into several plates. And these plates, we all learned that these plates are found above the asthenosphere, the weaker layer called the asthenosphere. That is why these plates are moving. These plates are moving. Okay? Number four, these plates may cause different boundaries. No? We have the convergent boundary, where two plates are moving toward each other. Divergent boundary, where two plates are moving away from each other. And the transform boundary, where two plates are sliding past each other. We also learned that these movements of plates are the main reasons why we have mountains, volcanoes, earthquakes, trenches, ridges, and rifts, and all the other geologic processes, events, and features that you can see here on Earth. But the most important thing here, guys, number six, that plate tectonics theory is telling us that the movement, all of these things are possible because of the movements and the movements of the plates. And those movements of the plates are caused by what we call the convection current happening in the mantle. Without the convection current na nangyayari sa mantle natin, there would be no plates that are moving on the asthenosphere. There would be no convergent, divergent, transform boundaries. There would be no mountains, volcanoes, earthquakes, trenches, ridges, rifts, and other geologic processes, events, and features na meron tayo dito sa mundo. So that, guys, is what we call the plate tectonics theory.